Well, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Clermont County Chamber of Commerce, thank you all for coming to our 2023 Candidate Forum. This evening, we're very happy to be hosting the two candidates seeking the one seat on the Union Township Board of Trustees. My name is Andrew McAfee. I'm the Vice President at the Clermont Chamber of Commerce. I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Austin Heller and Allie Cottrell. We're also pleased to be partnering tonight with the Clermont Sun, so co-moderating with me tonight is Megan Alley, the editor of the Clermont Sun. Megan, would you like to say anything?
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you to the Clermont Chamber of Commerce for coordinating this forum and for having the Clermont Sun and also for inviting me to be part of it. I've been with the Clermont Sun for about 10 years now, and as an editor and a news reporter, my job is to inform our readers, and that's what this event tonight is about, informing voters and the public. And I think it's particularly pertinent that we're in a school, because we're all learning this evening. So please consider supporting our work at the Clermont Sun by purchasing a newspaper or buying a subscription. We're so thankful to be here again and look forward to finding out how the evening goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Also, a big thanks to West Clermont High School for hosting us and for AT&T Ohio and Spectrum for sponsoring this event. The mission at the Chamber is very simple: to transform Clermont County to one of the world's preferred places to locate, operate, and grow a successful business. In order to achieve this, it is vital that our 700 plus members and their thousands of employees know where their current and prospective elected officials stand on issues impacting our community. That is why we're here today. Like Megan said, we're here to educate. We're here to educate our members, educate the community on where these candidates stand on important issues and what plans they have on improving our community. Today is actually also the first day of early voting here in Ohio. So any registered voter is able to either visit the Clermont Board of Elections in Batavia and cast a ballot in person or request a ballot be mailed to your house. So the rules tonight are pretty simple. Each candidate will give a 3-minute opening statement. Selection on the order of the presentation was decided by a coin flip. Questions have been solicited from the community and from our members. Some will be directed to specific candidates, some will be asked of both of them. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. There's a 30-second rebuttal time available if a specific candidate is mentioned in a response. Megan and I will have the responsibility of enforcing the ground rules and the format, maintaining order, and keeping the discussion focused on current election issues. The candidates both have committed to maintaining a civil and respectful demeanor throughout this forum, refraining from personal attacks or inappropriate language. We also ask that the audience remain quiet during the debate so that we can hear all of the speakers clearly. So please save all your applause and reactions until the end of the forum. Austin over here will be our timekeeper. He will hold up a blue folder when a candidate has half of their time left, and a red folder when a candidate has 15 seconds left. At the end of the forum, each candidate will be given 3 minutes to provide a closing statement in the reverse order of the opening statement. So with that, we will begin with opening statements, and Ms. Tammy Brinkman will kick us off. Tammy?
As he introduced me as Tammy Brinkman, I've been a resident of Union Township for 32 years. I've been married to the same man for 30 years. We have 2 grown children, ages 27 and 19. I'm a real conservative Republican. I've spent the last 12 years serving this community as a member of the West Clermont School Board, where I've participated in the district leadership team, community engagement, finance committee, and I have experience negotiating with unions. I am the only candidate here tonight that has participated in all 3 candidate forums. I work as a vice president of operations for Value Health. It's a purpose-driven company with a mission to transform healthcare from a fee-for-service environment to a value-based environment. Recently promoted due to my operational leadership, my keen ideal to detail, and just my business acumen. And I'm very happy to be here representing myself and my supporters, and hope that I will be elected as your next trustee.
Thanks, Tammy. Mr. Logue.
Hi, Michael Logue. Thank you all so much for coming out here tonight and giving your time and your attention and your time away from your loved ones and your family and friends. Let me talk about family for a second. My wife, Kristen, right here, and our 3 little ones, Austin, Andrew, and Elena, ages 5, 3, and 1. They mean the world to me. and I want to leave the world a better place for them. And I firmly believe that that's what brings all of you out here in the community together tonight, that you want to leave the world a better place for your kids, your grandkids, and that's what brings us together, and probably navigating interesting terrain together of politics. So, I'm a combat veteran, and it was first in combat that I learned what it really meant to support those around you and in your neighborhood. And a few years back, my neighborhood faced challenges, and I engaged, but it was not fruitful or successful at that time. A few years later, I saw the same issues occurring with the Miller Place development, and at that time I prayed, and I said, God, township trustee, politics, I don't want to do that. I'm newly married, what do you want from me? I'm newly married, I've got a young son, great job, volunteer federal organizations. What would honor the Marines that I served with in Iraq? And for those that don't know, 184 of us deployed, 23 were killed. Augie comes to my mind. Augie was a Marine that was killed. And the next 10 seconds that go by, and I'm deep in thought and prayer, saying, am I pulling petitions tomorrow or not? I see someone walking by with a dog that I've never seen the person or the dog before, and I felt this weird conviction to say, hi, can I pet your dog? And I did. And then I felt this really strange conviction to say, ask what the dog's name is. And the response still gives me goosebumps. The response was Augie. I went in and I told my wife, I said, honey, this is what just happened. She said, that's God's challenge. And how do you say no to your faith? Win or lose, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm still here tonight, asking for your support. Now, 4 years ago when I ran for township trustee, I made promises, and I'm happy to report that I've delivered on those promises for transparency, accountability, communication. We have raised the bar for our police, our fire, our service department. We're delivering more freedom than ever to the residents of Union Township. You can now take your dogs to the park, and we can actually open up a dog daycare here in Union Township, because believe it or not, there's legislation in the past that prohibited that. Now, I'm also very excited about the next 4 years for Union Township, because the community sees that as well too. We recently just hired for our community engagement officer, where we had over 90 applicants for that position. That tells me that people want to be part of what's going on with Union Township, and I'm just very excited about the trajectory for the next 4 years. And I ask that I have your support, not only tonight, but on November 7th. I ask that you visit MikeLogue.com to learn more. And if nothing else, I ask for your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. The first question we'll ask both of you. Mr. Logue, you'll start. Again, you have 2 minutes to respond. Describe the role of a township trustee in your own words.
Thank you. The role of township trustee is you are the mission, vision, and guidance for the township that is responsible to the electorate. So we are there to listen and see that we are carrying out the community's interests and concerns. You have fundamental legislative authorities and duties, like responsibility for the parks, the safety services, and the roads. But fundamentally what it comes down to is the community and civic engagement that you have in building a positive direction for the benefit of the whole community. And that is your place, and that is your role when you are responsible for the mission, vision, and guidance of the overall direction of the policy of the township.
Thank you. Ms. Brinkman?
Thank you. As Mike said, it is the legislative authority for the township. I think, but above all of your decision-making that you have in front of you is to be made with the best interest of the community at large, not just a small population of people or businesses or self-centered decision-making. You have to make it on the best interest of all of your community, not just a small portion of the community.
Our second question is directed to both candidates. How would you compare your skills and experiences to those of your opponent? And we'll start with Ms. Brinkman.
My skills. I'm a leader. I'm a leader by example. I run businesses. I know how to run businesses of multi-million-dollar revenues. And I know the importance of putting your top leadership in positions of power and letting them do their job. Your job is to be the oversight of that person, not to get into the weeds, not meddle in their business, but make sure that your top leadership is performing the way that you need them to be performing. Above all, The trustee responsibility is to evaluate one employee. That would be the administrator. The administrator of Union Township has not been evaluated one time in the last 20 months. I think that that's a disservice. You have to have attention to detail, you have to know what your leadership is doing, and you need to give them guidance to make sure that they are moving this township forward. Without that, I think that that is one thing that separates the two of us very distinctly.
Yeah, thank you. So, what I'll speak to is my promises delivered. Transparency, accountability, communication. You know what you're getting, and that fosters a family-friendly and business-friendly environment for the community. So, we delivered on Ohio Open Checkbook. I delivered on, right now we're doing digital budget books, so the residents have an opportunity to understand better what the financial picture is within Union Township. We delivered on a new website that is easy, searchable, and accessible. I don't know if anyone here has familiarity with the old website, but it was very cumbersome, clunky, and not a lot of data that you could find on it. And so with that, we also, I stood up and took the initiative for citizen engagement boards, and we've had our first citizen engagement boards and community surveys to have direct feedback from the residents. And all of those things being delivered in the last 2 years has been under our new CEO, Township Administrator, Susan Ayers. I'm proud of the fact that we competitively hired our Township Administrator, the CEO of the Township, because the predecessor previously was not a competitive hire, and in the near decade that he was there was never one performance evaluation. And in the last 20 months, if that's the clock that we're counting to, yes, we have sat down in executive session and had performance discussions and evaluations, and I don't know how many that somebody wants to have, if it's monthly. If the residents want it monthly, we'll do it monthly, but I believe that it's a firm record that we've already had performance discussions, and we are now implementing work sessions and strategic visioning to make sure that we are delivering for the residents of Union Township, and none of that would happen without our CEO, Susan Ayers, executing for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. This next question will also be asked of both of you. We'll start with you, Mr. Logue. What do you see as the greatest concern for the business community in Union Township, and what specifically would you do to address it?
One of the biggest concerns for business community within the township is, I kind of touched on this earlier, predictability. They want to have an understanding of what the standards are, the policies, what the professional staff is asking for when they want to choose to invest, a risky investment typically for a lot, right, in an area, in a township. And if there's not consistency of policies, we've had some policies that we've now updated under Susan Ayers. IT policy was last updated in 2006. Well, now we've updated it, right? So having those type of initiatives across the board to standardize and make business-friendly environments. One good one to call out was we worked with the business community. A lot of people here, I don't know how many people here like dogs or supportive of dogs, but the township prohibited dog daycares from being in the township. That feels like an overreach of government telling private business how to do private business activities. And when a private business came to us that wanted to make a multi-million-dollar investment in the township, they pointed out this legislation, and we went to work on that. We repealed that legislation so that they could be opening up a pet suites and have an amenity for our township and for our residents, because I've heard it from the residents. They are tired of retail, 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 fast food, fast food, fast food. And so those are the initiatives that we are delivering on.
Thank you. Ms. Brinkman?
For me, a couple of things stand out. The infrastructure decay of our top leadership within the township. That would be your change of the guard at your administrator, your assistant administrator, your zoning, your fire chief, your police chief. Everybody is leaving Union Township. Why is that? Is it for retirement exclusively, or is it because of the decay of those that are leaving this township? I think that our business community senses that. It gives them a sense of just uncertainty. Where are we going, and what direction are we going in? I think that it causes a little bit of angst. The other thing is the road construction. I've heard from a lot of people in our community that are business owners that the road construction and the direction that the state, the county, and the township have taken the road construction has caused a lot of hardship for our businesses. The roads to get there have been closed. There's been reroutes to where people are going another direction. And I think that a lot of our businesses have a lot to say. Now, trustees don't have a lot of direct relationship with that, but they do have a responsibility to speak on behalf of the business community and the residents to say, hey, wait a second, we have all of this at one time. Can't we modify? Can't we put something off so that we don't have a total crippling of our entire community?
Thank you.
Okay, the next question is for Mr. Logue. You've been on the board for 3 years now. What is your biggest accomplishment and your biggest regret?
So let's see. One thing I just want to touch on real fast as we move forward, talking about infrastructure decay, Union Township, my opponent is going into here. Our average age of employee leaving in the last year has 30 years of work experience with Union Township, so it's organic change. And let's not forget that in the last 4 years, the residents of Union Township have voted in 3 new trustees, signaling a different direction that the township residents want to go. So I think when you take organic change of what the residents want and being responsive, and an average tenure of 30 years, that is important to recognize. And I will state this, it's a 6% turnover rate for Union Township, and West Clermont school boards have a top priority and issue right now of a 12% turnover rate. So any large organization is going to have their difficulties with HR, but I'd say that we're very confident and happy with the progress of Union Township at this time and being responsive to the voter. Certainty of business environment. We just executed and delivered on 1,000 new jobs with TQL, and we landed Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and that is something that is finally getting accomplished. And yes, road construction does drive economic development, and the $100,000 per year that we strategically invest in the Transportation Improvement District has yielded a $200 million return to us, and we don't have control. I'm not ODOT, I'm not the county, but we collaborate and work together, and communication and helping to push their communication is something that's a benefit. So, may I pin your question, the specific question? I've got 15, 30 seconds.
Biggest accomplishment.
Biggest accomplishment. Yeah, biggest accomplishment is the family-centered environment and business-centered environment, our civic engagement across the board. We have, for the first time, had fishing tournaments, pickleball tournaments, community engagement, investment in our parks without any new taxes. I mean, it is an exciting time in Union Township, and we are delivering good government 101. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for you, Ms. Brinkman. What are you looking to bring to the table as a new voice to the board, if elected?
I think one of the things that the current trustees lack is the business acumen that I will bring to the table. I don't believe that the township is being run like a business. It's more of a, who's helping me and how can I help you in exchange? I bring forward the leadership, that does not happen under my watch. I bring forward the way that businesses need to be ran, and part of that is empowering the leadership, I said this before, empowering the leadership to do their job, hold them accountable for doing the job, and moving the township forward.
Okay, this question is for both candidates. What do you think about the increase in the use of economic development tools such as TIFs and JEDs? Do you support or oppose the use of these tools? Ms. Brinkman, we'll start with you.
I think that each TIF and JED needs to be evaluated individually and merit given on the request as it's presented. I will tell you that from a school board standpoint, I've always appreciated that the township has worked collaboratively with the school district to keep them whole in any tax money that would have been directed towards them. By collecting the TIFs and the JEDs, it's directed back to the school district. I'm appreciative of that, and if elected, I will continue that relationship with the school districts and make sure that each project is evaluated independently from the others.
So TIFs and JEDs, they judiciously need to be utilized. It's a tax increment financing. We'll talk about that tool first. We had a great project that I was supportive of recently out on Round Bottom Road, where we had to get a natural gas pipeline extended so that we could open up a site for Hamilton Safe that would be 200 new jobs. And it was about $1 million infrastructure cost. So we were able to finance that through the tax increment financing on that. And now that has opened up an additional 31 acres right now that We've got zoning approved for 6 indoor, 6 outdoor sand volleyball courts that are family friendly. And in addition to that, more family friendly complex activities to come behind that, filling it in. I can't necessarily get into the confidential details of that at this moment, but it's something that is a win-win all the way around. We're able to get a project moved forward by utilizing the business tools that are out there and also deliver for the residents of Union Township. Now, joint economic development districts, they have a kind of a tarnished name sometimes, but that's because it's an income tax on employees where they work. However, if you look at a site like TQL, there will be 3,000 jobs there and employees. They don't all live here in the township paying the taxes. I don't think it's fair or right that transient workers coming into the community using community services for road, police, fire, that they would be subsidized based off of your tax dollars. So that's where the income tax comes into effect and helps pay for their use of the services in the community. And that's to the benefit of the taxpayer here in our township. So another thing I'll champion real fast is that we got into the omnibus a new community authority that's going to give us another economic incentive tool that we're going to be able to do to utilize things like the re-envisioning of Eastgate Mall and be able to recover costs and fees that would be associated with that project. But again, all in the name of going to work for you, the people, and delivering for you.
This next question is for you, Mr. Logue. We've kind of already touched on this a little bit tonight, but we received a lot of feedback regarding the construction projects around the township and the traffic issues caused by them. What do you say to residents that are aggravated that the timing of these projects appear to be uncoordinated, and could you have done anything differently?
Yes, so, one thing to always be able to do differently there is have more communication and over-communicate. We had a lot of top priorities getting into place when the total change of the Board of Trustees and being able to hire Susan Ayers in, and we prioritized where we were at. But a communication engagement officer to put over communication out is beneficial. And we did just get that done last night at our Township Trustee meeting, so I'm excited about that moving forward. But as far as that goes, I think it's really important to notice here that, what happened 3-4 years ago? COVID impacted the world, and a lot of grant funding was finally turned loose and cut open. And a lot of that grant funding has already been extended to where it cannot be extended any further. And so you're seeing a lot of grant funding also hitting at the same time. So we've worked with Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments to be able to fund, and Clermont County Commissioners to be able to fund roundabouts on Eichwoods Road, which is going to improve our traffic flow. But that brings in about, that was a $6 million commitment and another $2 million collectively. And then with ODOT on Route 32, that's in total over a $200 million investment. And then when you look at Old 74 and the community and the neighbors that are on Old 74, it's unfortunate that the infrastructure was not taken care of for years and years and years, and that's a county road there, but the bridge had slid away, and it was work that must be done to make it a safe and transient road. And so, again, grant funding and the timing and the execution of that, but what I would personally change is over communication, and we have brought ODOT out to our meetings, and we have publicly pushed through our website, but that's where we have the resources that we have. We went from an old bootstrap website that was basically, developed in the 90s to having a niche government tool that allows you to have a member log on and sign in and automatically receive updates. And that's going to help us with our communication moving forward. Tools like that. Thank you.
This next question is for Ms. Brinkman. Union Township has seen quite the economic boom over the last several years. How would you balance the need for economic development versus preserving our green space?
I think green space is very important. I've heard the residents of our community say that we need to preserve that. Enough of the economic development. However, you need to look at where the economic development is occurring. Is it on Beachmont, where there's limited green space available? Or is that in a residential area or an area where there's a park or something of that nature? I think that it's overreach to say that we will eliminate all of the green space, but I do think that there is a possibility or hope that we will be able to retain. Thank you.
This next question is for both of you. We'll start with you, Mr. Logue. What role does community feedback play in your decision-making process?
Community feedback is vitally important. I mean, that's who we're responsible to as the electorate. And, and just to give an example of that, that's the large reason why I had a different strategic path forward on Eastgate Mall. The prior philosophy there was 7 years, it has to go to the golf course and go bankrupt 7 times over before anyone ever makes money with it. And the problem with that is it brings the economic value down so far and invites crime into the community that drives up calls for service and your police and your fire. And from that, that damages everyone, including the schools. And so one thing that we did as a new initiative with the township in the last year and a half is community surveys. So we've actually gauged what is the response and what is the community interested in. One of the top priorities was Eastgate Mall. And so that helped support the decision making to say, I will put funds behind a master planning session so that we can build strategic leadership and help strategically align the different owners of the mall so that they know what the community's response and feedback is. And we just had listening sessions this week, drop-in sessions this week, and the master planning is going great. We're hearing great feedback from the community, but bringing the resident closer to the decision making and having the transparency, accountability, and communication there is key. And those are activities I'm going to continue to deliver on, because at the end of the day, we're going to be able to communicate to anyone that's interested in investing or being part of the ownership group of Eastgate Mall what our residents and our community and our stakeholders want to see for that property.
Having served this community for 12 years on the West Clermont School Board, you have to listen to your constituents. Let it be parents, let it be teaching staff, let it be community. You have to make all decisions, bringing in all factors to the table and making the decisions that's in the best interest for everyone. I can speak of 2 interests that the community spoke loud and clear where our trustees did not listen. We have the Honda expansion. The community around there, the residential community, said, we don't appreciate the expansion of the Honda East. More cars, more sales. They wanted that green space. They wanted some buffer between the business and their residents. The township did not listen and they approved it. Then we have the residents down on Mount Carmel Road in opposition of the Doug Evans property, having it zoned changed from residential or agricultural to business. The residents there did not appreciate it. They made that decision against the will of the community. I, if elected, will not do that.
This next question is for Mr. Logue. There is currently a memorandum in place for additional marijuana dispensaries within the township. In your opinion, what role does the township play in regulating businesses like medicinal marijuana providers?
Real quick before I get into that, I want to touch on some facts on the last 2 segments there. Honda expansion, okay? The residents don't want to see blight in the community and in the neighborhoods, okay? So they were being forced as a franchise to have to make upgrades and improvements to their property, or else they were going to lose their franchise tag and they would shut down and move out of there, and that would be a blighted property. Now, residents significantly had an issue and concern with water runoff from a property that was basically, made into a car dealership decades ago. Now, moving forward, by having the improvements that are being done, it's actually going to have the catch basins in place and the water dispersion to be able to capture the water that's going to improve their issues with the water runoff. And you keep a business in there, so you're not going to invite blight. And you're going to improve more economic development in the area. Everyone knows when you get off 275 right there by Butterbees, you look across the way and you see the blighted gas station's been closed down for years and years and years. It is now getting reinvested into, and I firmly believe it's because of those actions like that, to where you're actually improving for the residents because they're going to control their water runoff issues and save business in the community. In regards to the Doug Evans, that is a property that is split between Anderson Township and Union Township and is industrial zoned and estate residential. And he was the first in over a decade. We violated, under my chairmanship, that operation that was going on there and kicked out businesses that were operating there. And The residents in the nearby neighborhood said thank you. You're the first board to listen to us in nearly a decade, and you made our life 80% better. And I, as a government official, take 80% pretty frequent and often. Memorandum on marijuana. We have a prohibition on medical marijuana right now in the Union Township community. That's something I should have done in 2016 when it was law. There are former trustees in this room that have a day from a resolution after their name, but in 2016, a resolution was not passed to prohibit medical marijuana from operating in Union Township.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. This next question is for you, Ms. Brinkman. Collaboration between other units
Do I,
of government.
can I get to address the pot? Is that the question?
That question was always
Just
right
for
now.
now, okay.
Your question, collaboration between other units of government and or businesses is vital for the township. Please provide one example where collaboration would result in greater efficiency and cost savings for the township.
For the township? Well, I think that you need to work with everybody. I'm interested to see how that role will play out once I get into office and figure it out navigational-wise. I can speak of an opportunity where we've collaborated with the school district, where the school district wanted to merge two buildings together. We needed one high school, and we didn't know how to accomplish this with the least amount of taxpayer money asking from our community. The township went and purchased a piece of property, bought it at fair value, and then allowed us to purchase it from them at that same value, and then build the one high school. I think that that's a demonstration of working together for the betterment of the community. It was an unpopular decision at first because everybody felt that they should have had a voice in it, similar to Anderson, where the Anderson and Turpin's trying to merge the two buildings. They'll never do that because of the commitment that those people have to their individual school system. I think that that's an example of what could happen if you work together. I'm a firm believer that you have to work together in order to move the district and the township forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This next question is directed at both candidates. A lot has been reported in the past few weeks regarding Eastgate Mall. What role does the township play in the redevelopment of private property like Eastgate Mall? Ms. Brinkman will start.
I believe that the township should have zero responsibility for that. They don't have any ownership in it. It is a privately owned piece of property that I don't believe that they should be using taxpayer money to invest, to figure out how should we move forward with this property. There's no interest that I believe that the township should have in that. Hall properties will do what they want to do when they want to do it. I don't think that we should be giving taxpayer money towards them.
Yeah, hey, that's a great question and a great segue into that. I mean, that's the unique nature there. It is not just one small detail to look at. You gotta look at the bigger picture overall. It's the collaboration effort right there. It's hearing and listening to the residents of the community that say they want to see something happen with Eastgate Mall, right? And having the data to support what the stakeholders want, knowing what the infrastructure can support, knowing what the economic development tools are that we can utilize and deploy if we have good partners that want to work with us or investment partners that come on board. The master planning itself, that already yielded results because we did a national RFP for master planning, and you already saw 4 months later that a national investment company saw it and came here to work in Union Township because they saw that local government is not going to be a barrier to entry and that we want to work to get things done. Now, if you take the other approach where you just don't do anything with it at all, you're just going to have individuals fighting over keeping their piece of the mall what it is, and you're going to have the decline of that property value that does what? It hurts the schools and invites crime into the community. And that's the bigger picture that as a trustee, you have got to take into consideration the total goodness for the overall community and the best benefit to the community. And on that note, we try to help the schools every place that we can, and we know that it is something that the community has concern over because it is one of the most frequented items on our community surveys as far as where people's opinions are on the schools. And we do know that the budget has gone from $77 million a year to now nearly $111 million a year, serving 8,300 students. But that's why we try to pursue investing in sidewalk grants around the schools to improve connectivity and connectivity to our park system, because they also are skyrocketing our kids on their mental health and anxiety issues, and we believe in activating and energizing those spaces. So that's somewhere as a township government where things like the Eastgate Mall property is able to be an impact and a force multiplier in the community for good.
Thank you. This next question is for both of you. We'll start with you, Mr. Logue. You both sought the endorsement of the Union Township Republican Party. but not everyone in Union Township is a Republican. What is your pitch to Democrat and independent voters, Mr. Logue?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm happy to be the top supported candidate out of that endorsement meeting. And with that, at the same rate, you can look at my track record and know my delivery performance for independent and Democrat voters. That's a nice thing at the nonpartisan level of a Union Township trustee is frankly, what do we care about? We care about transparency, accountability, communication, our police and our fire and our parks and our services and keeping our taxes low. And those are frankly nonpartisan type of issues and concerns. Even our most highlighted action of providing a new community service of the Safe Haven Baby Box is something that is supported by both proponents of either a pro-life or pro-choice movement because it's just another amenity, another option for the community. And so for that, you know, I know that independents and Democrats know that predictable environment and the standards and the policies of what we bring when we are delivering things like Ohio Open Checkbook, the digital budget books, the new website and communication tools, subscription tools, automatic agendas, public comment being moved to the very beginning of the meeting so we can hear you and listen to you. And I think that's what the community wants, regardless of party affiliation.
Mr. Logue was correct when he stated that he was the majority vote getter at our Republican Central Committee. It's an embarrassment that there's many members of our committee that only show up for endorsement. They are not active participants in the committee. They don't participate in anything until it comes time for endorsement. So yes, he was able to rally the troops of those that are in name only on that committee. Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I got a little bit fast.
You both saw the endorsement of the Union Township Republican.
Thank you, I didn't remember the question. Okay, so serving the committee, the community on the school board, I have learned that you have to be a representative of all constituents. I may be a Republican in name because I believe in the Republican value. That doesn't mean that I discredit or devalue the Democrat, the independent, or other value. I represent everyone. It doesn't matter your political party, and this is a nonpartisan seat, and it is your responsibility to behave and conduct business in that same manner.
Thank you. Both of you flew through those questions, because those are actually all the questions that we had for you tonight. So we'll go ahead and move to closing statements, and we'll do the reverse order from the opening statement. So we will start with you, Mr. Logue.
Okay, hey,
3 minutes.
They've kept me in my seat. Those of you that know me, I like to be up on my feet. I'm energized and I am excited about the trajectory of Union Township, and it is just an honor and a pleasure to be able to serve all of you. I firmly believe across all of our service and everyone that gives back in the community, again, you're giving your time tonight, so thank you so much. And I am committed to delivering on our promises, to continuing to deliver good government 101. I'm excited about the next 4 years. We hear you. People want non-chain fast food restaurants. We're working on that. We're going to deliver on that. There's some big ticket items that I know people want too. 20 acres of land, if I had that, we have to do smart development, you know, and that's what I'm very keen on right now. For far too long, Union Township was just kind of urban sprawl, but now we got little pockets of areas that we got to work, but we'll be able to deliver some big ticket items that the residents of Union Township want in the next 4 years, and I'm excited for that. I am excited to, frankly, just show up and serve the residents of Union Township. I love hearing your feedback and engaging. And so if you're a proponent of transparency, accountability, communication, and raising the bar and making our community safe and leaving the world a better place, that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm about. And I ask for your support not only today, but also on November 7th. And please go visit MikeLogue.com. And if nothing else, I ask for your prayers. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time tonight.
There was a couple points that I wasn't able to make because I anticipated many more questions. So I reserved some of my answers, but I want to make sure that I get my points very across very clearly in this closing. Pot shops, we should never have allowed them in our community. It was done without public participation, without changing the zoning first before allowing them in our community, and certainly should never have allowed them without the 1% tax being brought into Union Township to cover the safety services. I think that that was completely mishandled. Why I'm running for Union Township, I love this township. I will repeat that. I love Union Township. I am very happy to serve. I live by the motto of service before self. I am going to be here for you, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your opinion on things. I welcome participation. I encourage feedback, positive, negative, otherwise. I am a nationally known business leader that is known for my honesty, transparency, and integrity in doing business. If elected, I will serve you with nothing less. I appreciate your support November the 7th.
Thank you. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Another big thanks to West Clermont High School for hosting us, and AT&T Ohio and Spectrum for sponsoring us tonight. We really appreciate you both taking time. I know we got through those a lot faster than I anticipated, so hopefully you guys can stick around if anyone in the audience wants to speak to you privately. Another reminder that early voting in Ohio actually started today, so you can vote in person at the Clermont County Board of Elections in Batavia, or you can request an absentee ballot that will be mailed to you before Election Day. Another big thanks to the Clermont Sun for co-moderating with me this evening. Megan, do you have any final thoughts?
I think it's so wonderful to be in this room today and with those who are online to share in our candidates' thoughts and be learning together. And I hope that we can be invited back in the future. Please do subscribe to the Clermont Sun if you don't yet get it. You can go online, www.clermontsun.com. And we are as great as our community is. So it's not just a one-way exchange of one-way path of information, but please do feel free to reach out to us with your story ideas. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Megan. Tonight's event was streamed on Facebook, and the video will be available if you want to share it to any of your friends and your neighbors. And with that, I will say thanks again for attending and drive home safely.